Secret mortgage blacklist. What is that? If you're selling, are you on it? If you're looking to buy, are you looking to buy something that's on the mortgage blacklist? We're going to cover that tonight, what all that is. But first, what's this show about? This is Bubble Watch. I'm in my third season, and this is where we look at the market, the housing market up here in the Jacksonville metro area, up here in North Florida. That's right, I take you into the back end of my MLS account because I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in North Florida, so I do have my MLS account. And this is what I'm going to start off showing you tonight. When we go into the MLS account, I go in, I pull out the information, active listings. That is our inventory. I also look at what's active under contract, what went pending in the last 7 days. Since this is a weekly show, we look 7 days back. We look at what's sold in the last 7 days. We also look at that new home data and sales in their inventory for the last 7 days, but a whole lot more. All right, now I export all that data out of there, and it's a lot more than what I just showed you. It's going to come into an Excel spreadsheet which looks something like this, which is hard to read. I clean it up into my own Excel spreadsheet where it looks more like this. It makes it easier to follow week by week and then also year by year. And this Excel spreadsheets, also what I do is I break down where I show the median sales price over the week and the median sales price per square foot for single family homes, townhomes, and condos. And also I break out the condo information out of this Excel spreadsheet for you. So while all those numbers are crunching, let's see what these interest rates did this last week. All right, here we're going to take a look at the rates, and all these charts, we're going to look first. This is the conventional 30-year. And at the bottom of all these charts is where we left off last week. So this particular one, we saw we were at 6.71. Over here in the middle is the arrows. We see we've got mostly red arrows, so that means going in the wrong direction for us. At the top is where we end up now this week. So it's 6.82. So we see we were at 6.71. Now we're at 6.82. So we do see that increase. FHA rates are generally a little bit less. As you can see here, we left off at 6.13, and same arrows going up. It ended up at 6.25. Your VA rates follow pretty close to the FHA rates, and we were at 6.14 last week, as you can see at the bottom, and we ended up at 6.26, again with the same red arrows. All right, well, we see these rates are still in the sixes, and sixes seems to be the normal. And actually, when you look at historically interest rates, you know, 5s and 6% is normal. People were used to abnormal. So now let's take a look at those Excel spreadsheets. All right, here we are now into my Excel spreadsheets. And, you know, I know a lot of this is repetitive for those that already know about the show, but we get a lot of new people every week, so I go over them real quickly. This column right here, this yellow column right here, is our current week, okay, with all our data. Over here to the right of that yellow column is the last year at this time, so that we can see our year over year, the exact numbers right next to each other. And YOY gives us a percentage of change from last year. And this blue column, SFH, that's your single family homes. That's where I pull that data out by itself, since that's the largest status of type of home that there is out of it. Now this column over here shows what the rows are, as active listings, sold, active under contract, and so forth, so we know what those numbers are. Now these other two yellow columns, those are the previous 2 weeks, so that we can really quickly just look and see, okay, what kind of trend and what kind of pattern we had. All right, so let's start off with, at the first number at the top here is our active listings, and that is our inventory. And we see it's 10,521 this week, so we see that it is still going up. We see that trend, especially when you look back at the other yellow columns. Next, sold, 517. That trend has been going up also. All right. How many are active under contract? Now, that's 1434. Now, that also is an increase, and that right there, active under contract, is people that put in offers for houses, they got accepted, but the contingencies are still there. And what do I mean by the contingencies? They're waiting for an inspection, either an appraisal, or for their financing to get completely approved and get it clear to close. Once the contingencies are cleared, Then they go into pending status. So in the next numbers we show how many went pending in the last week, and we see that number has also increased. Okay, now this bottom one, total under contract. So that's everything. You're active under contract and you're pending. So 1,867 are actually under contract total. Okay, and we see that that number has gone up. Withdrawn. This is where people, they're active listings, but it can't be shown. They've taken it off of the showing schedule. Sometimes people are sick, sometimes people have to work, sometimes they have to make repairs. There's different reasons, but it's usually a temporary thing. Expired, now those are the ones that actually did not sell, okay? So those went off the market, okay? The next is the new homes that were sold, 174, okay? And we see that that's been a sharp increase from the last couple of weeks, okay? So the trend has been up for that. New homes active inventory, 2,352, okay? So that is our inventory has increased a little bit for the new homes. Now this orange box down here, this is where I show the percentage of homes sold that are new construction, and look at that, 1/3. 1/3 of all homes sold were new homes, new construction homes, and that is a big jump from the last couple of weeks, okay? Not just the number of units sold, but the percentage also. And you know, it's hard to tell. The reason could be incentives that they're given, could be that they're, you know, builders have lowered the prices on some of the homes. Also, insurance is a big factor now, okay? You know, the newer homes can get insured. Now, this chart, and we're going to go into a lot more here, but this whole Excel chart is downloadable, the one that I use on the show. From the description of the video, there will be a link. In my video description, there's a link. And like I said, this chart goes all the way back to when I started this show back in 2022, when everyone says that that's when the housing market was on the verge of collapsing and the bubble was going to burst. But as you can see, that bubble just keeps getting more air in it, okay? How did people pay for these homes? Well, right here we show the percentage of homes that were cash, how many were conventional, FHA, VA, and others, okay? So we see there, cash is down to about 1/5, okay? It was doing 1/4 or larger. Now it dropped this week. Conventional mortgages over 39.5. FHA took up 22.44, about the same as the cash. VAs a little bit lower here at 13.73, and others at 2.71. Now these numbers right below it, those are the actual units that sold, you know, under those categories, and you're going to see that throughout this Excel spreadsheet. Those numbers below always are the units that sold for those categories wherever it's shown. All right, next we look at the foreclosure numbers. Now these are the foreclosures that are actually active listings for sale. Okay, these are the ones that are up there for sale. It's not the total foreclosures in Northeast Florida, okay? So here we see 77 foreclosures, 26 pre-foreclosures, and 45 short sales. So we did see a jump here to 148 of those that are on the market for sale that are in those statuses. Next, I take a look at the percentage of homes that sold under list, at list, and above list, okay? So we see it's been pretty consistent, okay? These numbers here, you know, it's 74% under list, almost 15.5 at list, and almost 10.5 sold above list. And of course below are those numbers that correspond to the units that sold out of the 517 total, how many sold under those categories. Next, I take a look here. I look at what price categories these homes sold and the percentages. So homes that sold for $500,000 above, that's $500,000. 1/4 of the homes sold for that. So that's still a strong number there. Homes that sold in the 400 range, okay, almost 14%. Okay, so that's up from last week. 300 range, 26.31, so that's up. Homes that sold in the 200 range, okay, almost a quarter of them. And homes that sold below 200,000, 11.41. And again, below you see the actual units that sold for that. And so that really stands out when you look at those units, that, you know, the ones below 400 and I mean below 200, the ones in the 400 were the lowest amount. All right, I also take a look at the new construction homes to see where they are under the same scenario. Homes that sold under list, okay, again around there, you know, over 70%. Homes that sold at list, 15.5, and homes that sold above list, you know, were just at 12.64. Again, there is the numbers that show those units, and you can see it dramatically stands out. The ones that sold under list, okay, it was the biggest numbers. Okay, here is where I look at those median prices, okay? And I do this on a weekly basis. I'm the only show that I know of that does it on a weekly basis. Most of these numbers come out on a monthly basis, and usually it's a week or two after the month ends before you even get that data. So we're showing it right here, and we're looking at single family homes. The median sales price was $390,000. The median sales price per square foot was $204. Townhomes came in at $294 for the selling price, $197 square footage, and the condos came in at $198,500 for the median price and $173 for the median square foot sold. All right, now what we'll do is I'll look back here and we can see, you know, the previous couple of weeks here, and you can see the trend there. And take a look, you know, something, look at for the 3 weeks here, that median sales price for square footage has been $204, okay? So we see, you know, the trend there, and also with the condos and townhomes. And again, if you want to go further back, just download this sheet and you can get the rest of the data. Okay, here we go. Below list price. And also, I mean, I'm going to show everything. This chart here goes everything from below list price to at list price to above list price. We're going to see the original list, the list, and closing price, how they finance it, and days on the market. So this is where I show the days on the market for those. Now, my difference when I show something below list price, I'm calculating from the original list price. Okay, that's what that number is. This is a lot. Okay, this week, since we had an increase in sales, okay, and you know, a lot of people are buying these, even though a lot of people are telling me that the half price sale is coming. So, but there's still a lot of sales going on. Now, remember this data here, and of course you can pause this video if you want to stop at anything, or again, just download the sheet. But as we go through here, we see, okay, as we get closer, when we get to the zero, then that is going to be, right there is going to be the ones that sold at list price. And then here we go, above list. And look at those above list, aren't that big. And a lot of those are people just asking for concessions, I think. It's not so much the crazy multiple offer situations. Now, as you get in the larger numbers towards the bottom, you can get into that situation, why they went with so much over list price. Okay, the next thing you're looking at here, this is a map on the MLS, and what I do is I pick out a zip code every week, and if somebody sends it to me, then I'll use the zip code they send me that they want. If, you know, I can only do one a week. And this week is going to be 32068, and that is in Middleburg. And this, what you're looking at right now, all those dots are the ones that are active listings in that area. Now that's a big zip code, so you can see we've got like over 300 homes there that are active listings. This next map here is what you're looking at is the ones that actually sold in the last 7 days in that zip code. Okay, what I do here now, I take that and put that into these charts so we can take a look at it. These are the ones that sold, okay, in that zip code, and you can see, you know, by the headings at the top, what they are, the original list price, you know, the list. Now that list price is the one that the seller lowered to, okay? So they started out, you can see that they started out at, this first one at the top started out at $539,990. Then they actually over time brought it down to $409,990 and actually got an offer for $390. Okay, so it was a difference of $149,990. Okay, from the list price. And as you scroll down, you can see the type of financing, where it's at, living. That's the square footage of the house, year built, okay, sold price per square foot, whether it was a new house or not. And that top one, look, was a new home, okay? So now, when you look at those days on the market with the new homes, you know, it depends on when they put that new home in the listing. Some of these new homes, they put in there before they even pour the foundation, and some of them put them on the MLS like, just a couple weeks before they're ready to go. So, without further research, you don't really know that. But that's quite a dramatic difference. And you imagine the person that bought it when it first came out in the listing, 539, okay? And this could be leading to why, the new home sales are starting to pick up, maybe because we're starting to see some of this. Well, this one here, all I have to do is scroll down a little bit because, that number is limited. But again, this is just that zip code, okay? Now, say you want to purchase in that area, okay? Here is a little breakdown of some homes that are for sale. This is the ones that are for sale. Like I said, we got over 300 of them just in that zip code alone. And I will scroll this a little bit here so that you can pause it and look at it if you'd like. And of course, if you would like to schedule a showing for anything that you see here, you just get with us and we'll send you more data on this and a sheet and on a particular house. And if you like to schedule the showing, then just get with us to arrange for to see it. And again, you can pause this as you'd like or just download the sheet. Okay, this is the next set of data, and this is just the condominiums by themselves, okay, where I pull that data out. All right, now, because, we do have a condo crisis in Florida, we haven't really seen it up here so much as in other parts of the state, but there are areas, and you can see that the prices are going down on condos. Now, this first column here is just like the other. It's our current week, and then these are the previous weeks. And the data is pretty much the same. So you can see right here, like your active listings on the top, how many sold right there, 34 this week, and so on. So I'll let you take a look at that chart, and then we'll go on to the next one. How did people pay for those condominiums? Same thing there. Now, this I was kind of surprised to see this week. Usually the cash is above. It's unusual for conventional mortgages to be more than the cash on the condominiums, okay? And then you see here the FHA, VA, and others. And then, of course, the numbers below it come out to what the units were. Our foreclosure numbers for the condominiums is the same as the last couple weeks, so it's probably the same units. And then those that sold under list, at list, and above list do the same thing there. We see no condos sold above list this last week. And here's our price categories for those condominiums in the 500s, 400s, 300s, 200s, and below 200. And boy, the first thing that stands out this week is the condos that sold below 200. That is our winner. Half of them sold below 200,000. That's dramatic. But again, remember, our total units sold aren't really a lot. So, take that in consideration. You can see those units right below. Okay, again this week, nothing new in the news, so we move on. All right, here's where I look at the total stories of the complex. Now, this isn't the individual unit, but it is the complex, and that is because the new law in Florida requires that the condo units, the complexes that are 3 stories and above, or built 25 years or older on the coast and 30 years and older in other areas, have to abide by new rules on funding, keeping funding there for repairs, and that has increased all these assessments and HOA fees, and so that's where your crisis is coming from. So we just take a look and see how many, just a trend to see if people are trending towards buying condos that are under 3 stories, so they don't have to abide by those rules and those assessments. Although a lot of them still are starting to do that, even though they don't have to with that. They are, jacking some of the assessments and fees. So as you can see there, there was 4 that were 1 story, 20 that were 2 story, 8 at 3, 1 at 11, and 1 at 15. Now, because again, like I said, because of the age of the condos, I show that. Let's get rid of the yellow here. That way we can see just our current week, and then you can compare it with the other weeks. But that right there is, these are the individual units. So you see the first one was built in 1979. It was a 1 story. The second one, 2005, is a 1 story, and so on. And I'll just scroll this, and again, so you could stop it if you'd like. These are the counties where those condominiums were sold. We could see 6 of them were in Clay, 21 in Duval, 6 in St. John's, 1 in Nassau. And here I take a look at the same chart here where I show, the ones that sold below list and the type of financing and how many days on the market. And I'll scroll this also for you. Hey, if you like the way I put this show together with this data so that it's easy to follow and all that, then give me a thumbs up. And if you want to be part of Bubble Watch Nation, then hit the subscribe button and subscribe to it. Okay, next we're going to go in. We're going to look at what is called MLS Advantage, and that is where I take all these other MLS boards. See, the data I've been showing you right now is coming from Northeast Florida MLS, okay, which I belong to, but I'm going to take all these smaller boards and we look at the 9-county area, as you see in this map here, of this North Florida area. And then what I'm going to do also is break it down by sales by those 9 counties and put it in an Excel chart so you can see where the most activity is. So right now, let's get to the Excel, the MLS Advantage, not Excel, MLS Advantage. Okay, here we are into the MLS Advantage portion of my North Florida MLS. And down here are the 9 counties: Baker, Union, Bradford, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, and Putnam. Over here we hit the search button. And that brings us to 695 properties. All right, then when I take that 695 total and put it in, break it down by the counties, this is how it plays out. We see Baker had a drop in half to 3 units. Union still 0. Okay, Bradford had 2. Clay 78, so they came up some. Nassau 52. Duval County actually dropped, okay, 249 this week from last week. St. John's County had a nice increase to 171. Flagler County had a nice increase to 118. And Putnam County dropped to 22 from 29 last week. Now, that Flagler County area, that is your Palm Coast area, and St. John's, that's where the bulk of all this new construction is going on in St. John's. So we saw that bump there in the new houses this week, to 1/3 of them were new homes, and that could be the reason St. John's had such an increase. All right, secret mortgage blacklist, okay? What is that? Well, the best way to describe that is to show you these articles that we have here and see what's going on, okay? So let's get right to the articles right now. All right, here we are, the headline from the Wall Street Journal: a secret mortgage blacklist is leaving homeowners stuck with unsellable condos. As we go into the article here, we see, it says right here, the blacklist is maintained by Fannie Mae and includes condo associations that the mortgage finance giant thinks don't have adequate property insurance or need to make critical building repairs. Being on the list can make it harder for potential buyers to get a mortgage. The number of properties that fail to meet Fannie Mae standards has risen to over 5,000 this month from a few hundred before the Surfside collapse down there in South Florida. Now, a Fannie spokeswoman says she disagrees with characterizing it as a blacklist. She said the firm provides an online tool that allows lenders to check whether it accepts loans from a given project. And here in Florida, there's more than 1,400 developments that are blacklisted. And this is part because of the strict condo safety law enacted following the Surfside disaster. The next 4 states featuring a heavy on the blacklist are California, Colorado, Hawaii, and Texas, all of which are prone to natural disasters, and restrictive insurance policies. And then here in this one development that was called Shadow Ridge, it says they were blacklisted because it had a so-called pooled policy covering more than one project, association documents show, meaning Fannie's requirement for a standalone policy covering the Shadow Ridge alone would push up its monthly homeowner fees from $570 to around $1,100 or more. All right, so here is another site, okay, and it's called the Condo Blacklist, and is my condo on the blacklist there. And I believe this site is by some attorneys that put this together. And here, as you can see, it says if you manage a property in or on the board or manage a condominium, you should know if your community is on a Fannie Mae secret blacklist and if there is action you may be able to take to get off the list. And condoblacklist.com is now your comprehensive one-stop resource where you can finally find out whether your property is on the blacklist and get on the path to removal. As you go into this website, you see they've got a video here which probably explains some of it, and then some more information about this site. And then right here's a button that says Search Condo Blacklist, and right there it says Search your condo blacklist here. It has a form to fill out, and then you can hit the search button to see if it's on there, I presume. I'm not putting anything in there because I don't have any condos right now that we need to know about. So but there it is, provided by these folks, and let's see if it tells here at the bottom who they are. And there it is, Katzman Chandler and Alcock Marcus. So yeah, down in Fort Lauderdale it looks like. So these are the folks that are helping people try to find out if their condo is on the blacklist. Wow, that's some crazy stuff, huh? But now you know, I mean, of course, the first thing you should do is just check with the lender. The lender should tell you that right away. That's what you should be doing anyhow, is checking for the lender before you go out and buy something or even looking. And then they'll tell you, you know, you find something, check with that lender first, see if it's on a blacklist. Or probably an easy way to do it is look and see if there's a condo that you're interested in. Has there been any recent sales? If there's recent sales, then it's probably a clean slate to work off of, that you're not going to have those problems. Can't guarantee it, but that's probably what you'd find. Hey, you know what? I am a real estate agent here in the state of Florida, and if you're looking to buy or sell, then get with us. We have a select group that works up here in Northeast Florida. We all work together to help you buy and sell, and just put us in the mix if you're looking for real estate agents. Okay, this is, let's see, we're season 3. This is week 46, and it is in the can. And until next week, I'm out of here.